Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today, new golf ball from Taylormade.
Yeah.
Every 2 years, a new TP5 has come out ever since 2017 with a new version 19.
That's right.
And this week we have the new 2021 offering.
Fair to say that TP5 has taken probably the most market share away from Pro V1?
Yeah, I think in the and certainly in the tour space.
I was going to say on tour. I'm just thinking of how many tour guys seem to have switched to that ball. And
a few little changes to the golf ball, but the big story is on the cover, Matty. Still a 5-piece ball.
Yep.
Really the only golf ball, the only premium golf ball in the space that has went with 5 layers. Something Taylormade have done for a long time. It'll be over 10 years now since they released the first Penta golf ball, the first TP Penta.
Starting to make me feel old. I actually do remember that coming
out. So you know they've obviously stuck with that principle, but they really have redesigned the cover. And when you look up at close, and you know I've got the 2019, the 2021 version here, you can visibly see the change in the dimple pattern.
Yep.
The dimple pattern now is shallower with steeper walls.
Interesting. We've seen kind of not the same thing, but I guess dimple refinements like that from a few other companies.
Definitely.
Aerodynamics seems to be kind of the hot topic of the year.
Yeah. I think from a material standpoint, you know, it's probably quite difficult to change too much. You know, cast urethane is the way to go in terms of the cover. Obviously the core, you know, they're trying to get the right balance between feel and energy and things like that. Let's chat a little bit about the tour adoption or the usage. What was interesting to me in 2019 was the players who had previously played the firm tour ball from companies with the TP5 range had went from the X back to the TP5. Think of guys like Rory, and there was a bunch of them that done the same thing. I think DJ was the same, because they felt the X was maybe a little bit firm for them, lost out a bit of that short game spin.
I kind of felt like I had a similar experience this summer. I loved it for many reasons, but probably moved away from it because of the short game feel and spin.
Yeah. I'll answer a lot of questions and kind of, you know, over social media and things like that about that exact thing. You know, I play a TP5X golf ball, what's the closest thing? And your mind goes to things like left dash.
Yeah, it really is.
You know,
I think left dash is the closest competitor.
one.
Yeah.
So that has been changed.
Yes.
This golf ball is now softer.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of these players who were playing TP5 have now went back to TP5X.
Interesting.
Because they have made it softer, they've made the ball feel a little better, they've increased short game green side spin.
Gotcha.
So doing all those things, trying to kind of widen the audience for that X golf ball.
While still maintaining, I'm assuming, quite a firm core, like a high compression core and a high ball speed output off the driver?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
So it'll be very interesting to see if that comes out in the test. And guys, just in the order of being fair and balanced, we're going to do the 2021 golf ball versus the 2019 golf ball. I think that's the best way for us to judge what's changed, how it's evolved. And we're also going to throw the tour response. Last year's release golf ball in there as well. Yeah. A great golf ball at the price.
I was just going to say, I think TP5 is pretty good as a tour ball for price. It's not the most expensive, but tour response sits at, what, good $10, $15 lower than that.
Yeah, I think in the Canadian market, 20. So 65 and 45.
Oh, it's that much?
Yeah,
okay.
it's quite a bit.
I think we got some feedback that asked, you know, that mid-price ball, and I know tour response might be considered, let's call it mid-high.
Yeah.
But the budget is a concern for a lot of people, so I think it's good to include that and see how much performance are you going to trade off for your extra money, or is that ball good enough for the budget you've set out?
Definitely, because I think the tour response is maybe, as a golf ball, as a construction, maybe a little more similar to a lot of the golf balls in the market. It is a 3-piece golf ball versus a 5-piece golf ball, so it doesn't quite have, you know, as much tech, your golf ball tech, and there is some, you know, when you start looking into the elasticity of the cover, and there's a lot of nuances about that new TP5 that make it really, really high quality. TP5 doesn't, the tour response doesn't have all of that, but it still is for the masses a really, really good golf ball. So let's see what the trade-off is.
Absolutely. So clicky.
Okay, Matty boy, big test.
A lot of balls there.
big test.
Hit a lot of balls.
Yeah,
good test though.
That was
pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was very interesting. There was a lot of separation. A lot of the golf ball testing we've been seeing recently. You know, I've noticed in the comments a lot of people going, well, Matt, you know, how am I going to tell these golf balls really apart? They
Fair.
seem to be quite tight in terms of the spin tolerances. I mean, We're not really seeing that there. Launch angles quite similar, ball speeds very similar, but they all have kind of unique spin conditions.
The first thing that's jumping out at me is just how much TP5X has improved on this shot.
A lot.
And I can't show you the numbers on how much better it felt, but it felt like night and day better. So much softer. The 2019 ball, unfortunately, is maybe the clickiest ball anyone's made of a tour ball.
There.
Yeah, so this new ball feels more like what you'd expect from like a Pro V1X or something.
Definitely. And now we as we chatted earlier on, we know why people kind of put the TP5X and the Left Dash Pro V1 together in that little kind of niche bracket.
It's a bit too low spin to be a tour ball, for a tour player to use that around the greens on fast greens. I can see how that's a ton of spin to be giving up. It's 1,000 RPMs almost over something like a TP5 from 2 years ago. No one's going to give that up on a fast green.
Definitely not. So as we go into the full wedge category, we see a similar pattern. So I think TP521 and TP519. I mean, basically the same golf ball we're going to say so far.
So far it is, yeah. Felt basically the same too.
Yeah, we picked up about just under 300 with the TP5X and spin with the full wedge, which is great. In those first couple of tour response it was spinning lower than the other golf balls. It was kind of launching a bit higher, spinning a bit lower. Interesting, because I don't think people would expect that, because it has the soft compression. A lot of people would expect it to spin a little bit more and things like that, but
it did okay on the 50-yard shot, I thought.
Not too bad.
For your value for money on the 50-yard wedge shot on that tour response, I think was pretty good.
Yeah.
Spinning more than TP5X, although the old model. I think with the pitching wedge, we started to see that spin drop off. Although that being said, I think the ball flew really high. The ball felt good.
Yeah.
I don't think at this point yet, the 300-400 RPMs, I don't think the tour response player would notice the flight all that much yet. With the wedges, anyway.
And again, 2019 TP5X versus 2021 TP5X, we're seeing another little jump. And it's very similar every time. It's between 250 and 300 of an increase in spin with that new added softer feel. I think people will be really pleased about that.
I think that's exactly what TP5X users were asking for. That's why I stopped using it, because it didn't spin enough on these. This is pitching wedge, and it didn't spin enough on the 50-yard shot for me.
7-iron. We are TP5s, 57, 58. Yep, not much in it at all.
Again with
300.
Yeah, it's great.
300 on the nose again.
So TP5X really is the most improved player of the year so far.
Big time.
Tour response is an interesting one. I think the 7-iron I had a good experience with. I noticed it launching higher and spinning less than any of the other balls, but it wasn't slow on ball speed. What I liked about that is it felt good off the iron, like in terms of softness, but I think people will see a few more yards over the ball that they're playing right now.
Quite an interesting combination, and I'm thinking kind of the AVX user, that type of thing.
Kind of like an AVX.
A bit more like that. So, it's definitely a trade-off in spin. So it kind of feels like a TP5, but it spins like an X. Yeah. This was a deep test for us to do with you. This was a lot of shots.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, yes, the balls we hit at the end were the slowest ball speeds, so they're maybe attributed to some fatigue.
I think that's totally fair to say, and to be honest, if you factor that fatigue in, the ball speeds on all these might be quite close.
Yeah. Also,
someone swinging at a little bit slower swing speed that won't compress it as much, I think these will come together more. Like
Definitely.
I over-compress that tour response a bit.
Yeah.
I don't think most people will, and because of that, it will become quite a good ball.
Definitely.
But for a higher speed player, I think TP5 and TP5X, I think I understand what you're paying for.
Yeah.
When it comes to the 5 layers, they perform better on the driver.
Definitely.
And the tour response has a little trade-off on the driver, but it is good otherwise.
Yep. No, it really is. Yeah, you're right. 40 compression would never be the answer for someone like you, especially when you're compressing that at 170 miles an hour.
Probably want to be in the 85 to 90 swing speed range to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it'd be nice. And we did see it consistently be high launch, low spin.
Great
high
ball.
launch, low spin.
Yeah.
That was the characteristics of it throughout the test.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Good lineup this year.
Yeah, I think TP5X 2021 star of the show, in that it has changed. They've done a really nice job with
It's
that.
become 100 times better, I agree with you. Yeah, it really was lacking too much in that wedge and iron spin category. The driver thing, as you said, it doesn't bother me. I think the speed towards the end, I wasn't swinging quite as fast, so I don't think he would lose distance with a new ball. I'd be shocked if he did.
Yeah.
And the feel and the performance of the wedges is worth, the upgrade for them A lot of the time I know we get these ball refreshes and we go, oh, like, is there going to be any point in this? For the X, huge.
Big.
Might as well be a different ball.
I was thinking that when you were testing, actually, I was thinking, do they modify 2019 TP5X and go for a third golf ball in this lineup?
They probably could.
I definitely think they could. They could make like a double X or monster out of that golf ball.
I do think that people are going to miss old TP5X. If you were a lover of TP5X before, if you needed that super low spin, if you love the firm feel, I think you may find this ball is not quite to your liking.
Yeah.
And in that case, you may find that left dash Pro V1 would be a closer ball. And maybe TaylorMade comes out with a low spin ball later based on feedback.
And we have recently heard of a new golf ball coming out from one of the major manufacturers that fits into that firm, low spin, high flighted ball flight. Coming out very, very soon, which will be interesting to test.
Will be interesting. So we'll see what else comes out, but I think that's a good improvement. The TP5 user maybe won't want to rush out and buy the new ball. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But if you're an X user, I would test this. I think for me, I thought they did a good job improving it.
And all those players, now we can see exactly why all those players who went from TP5 in 2019 to TP5X to TP5.
Yep.
You can now see why they've come back.
Yeah, and I was exactly the same. I would come back to this if I was going to go back and play TP5. I think the X performed quite nice.
Definitely. Okay, guys, more ball testing. As we said, there's more in the pipeline. We actually just received a package from Sugar Golf as well.
That's right. We're going to test those.
A little bit of direct-to-consumer testing. You know, we've already done a bunch of, you know, Snell and Vice and Seed and all those sorts of ones. So
done most, haven't we?
Yeah, not heard much about the Sugar Golf ball, but it'll be good to test it.
Good price, I think. So we'll see how well they perform for the cost.
Yeah, good, excellent. Okay, guys, stay tuned for that. We'll see you again soon.